Just 1 second. I've got to get all the attendees to join us before we go live. Just takes a second.
Slowly everyone joins.
Probably switch to something else, Mitchell, but
Is that a child being a rooster?
all right. Are you still getting the other one online, Roy? All right, I will go live. Why don't you bring up one of your photos or something? All right. There we go. Cool. Okay, I'm gonna go live now.
Wow.
So we're gonna go live in 4, 3, 2, 1. There we go. All right. Hopefully people can see us now. Hi everybody. Another set of experiments with telescopes live streaming into the internet, and we've got a new target for you tonight, which is Saturn. Brave Ahmet Kale is in Turkey, and I don't know if that's that's his place with the roosters, because it's pretty early in the morning. I think it's. What time is it there, Ahmet? Is it like 4 in the morning?
4:20. Yes.
4:20 in the morning. Yeah.
4:20.
Yeah. So it's 4:20 in the morning, and so Saturn and Mars don't actually rise until early in the morning, after midnight. Well, I think Mars rises around 10:30, 11 o'clock, and Saturn not till early morning. But to really get them high enough to be able to see them in the telescope, you have to be up for quite a while. So, so with me tonight, we've got Ahmet. Like I said, is in Turkey. We've got, of course, Dr. Pamela Gay.
Hello.
And Roy Salisbury, who is operating from his really cool setup in Arizona. And he's got Jupiter on his telescope, which we'll swap over to in a second as well. And then Mitchell Duke, who is got pretty bad seeing, but is probably going to show us a few of the astrophotos that he's been taking. He's over in North Carolina as well, actually just down the street from Lake Phillips. So as promised, 2 telescopes. And actually, I had 10 telescopes queued up and ready to go, with 8 people telling me that they were getting rained out or getting clouded out or whatever. So my solution to this problem is I just need more telescopes until it's 1,000 telescopes, whatever it's going to take. So, but anyway, so this is good. So this is the first time that we've seen Saturn in one of these. It's always been Jupiter and the Moon and the Great Nebula in Orion, but this is the first time we've seen Saturn, and it looks just beautiful. I'm really impressed. Thank you very much, Ahmet. I mean, I don't know if people know how
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Difficult it is to stay up till 4:20 in the morning and
yeah, it's very cold. Yeah, I think it's
Oh,
below
no.
0.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
But I have a heater.
You have a heater beside you with the telescope, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's really great. So then why don't we talk a bit about... Oh, go ahead, Pamela.
I was going to say, so the reason that we're seeing Saturn dancing around so much is all the different atmospheric changes that are going on. So that dancing, it's our atmosphere having different pockets of different temperature air.
Yeah. And you can see, but I think people are kind of amazed. I mean, if you look in it, we keep telling people on Astronomy Cast, you know, if you look in a telescope, even a fairly small, like a 4-inch or a 6-inch telescope, you kind of see this. This is what you see. You know, you see the rings, you can see the ball in the middle. If the telescope is better, you can actually see bands across the surface of the planet. So that's Saturn right now, live. And that's the view that we get. And if you wanted to, you could go out at 4 in the morning as well, and a fairly bright star in the sky is going to be Saturn, because it's one of the brighter stars in the sky when you're out there. That's amazing.
And you can start to see why Galileo saw this as a planet with ears as you look at it jiggle in the atmosphere. It's hard to tell without those perfect high-resolution shots that we're used to. It's hard to imagine that strange light to either side is actually a ring that passes in front and behind.
In the chat or in the comments, James wanted to know how to make the video full screen, and this is sort of the first question that everybody asks. There's 2 ways. Someone will post the link. But also, there's a cool extension you can get called Better Hangouts on Air, and if you just Google search that, you can install that extension and then reload this window. And when you start the Hangout, you'll get a little drop down that lets you full screen it, that lets you increase the width or go to full width, and then you can even then press F11, and then you can get a full screen view. And if that's what you want to see, you can do that. And then if anyone has any questions for us and wants to talk a bit about the gear, we can answer them in the comments thread. So, oh, it's beautiful. That's just beautiful. And the other one, I'll show you the one here that Mitchell Duke is showing. These are photos that you've taken, right, Mitchell? These are from his setup. So you can kind of see what Ahmet has got live, and if you capture that video for a while, you can then turn that into a really beautiful photograph like that. I'm going to go back to what Ahmet's got. And then what Roy's got, and he's got sort of at the same time. Now keep in mind, right, so Ahmet is in Turkey, just outside of Istanbul. So he's, GMT plus
2.
2.
Plus 2, yes.
Yeah. So he's 2 hours ahead of Greenwich Mean Time, while Roy, you're GMT minus 6. Is that right? Trying to think what time it is there. Anyway, I'm GMT minus 8 at 6:30 right now. I think he's an hour ahead of me. And I know, Pamela, you're 2 hours ahead of me, and then Mitchell's 3 hours ahead. So you can see. So again here, Roy's got Jupiter. And again, this is totally live. So you can see 4 of Jupiter's moons there. Those are the 4 Galilean moons, the ones discovered by Galileo. And do we know which ones they were, Roy? Did you have you know which one's which? I think he's muted. There's gadgets on the internet that you can use to find out which moons are which. But the really cool thing is that those moons go around Jupiter. Some of them go around so quickly that that we can see transits of them as they pass right across the front of Jupiter. And you can actually see the shadow of the moon as it passes in front of Jupiter.
There's a great comment in the feed right now. It says, since it has ears, referring to Saturn, it should have been called Pluto, right? Well, it's Pluto the dog, I'm afraid, is far more famous than Pluto the god, but I don't think the god was known for his ears.
How's that?
No.
Is that back?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so this is that same situation where we've had this the other night with Roy. You know, if you get the brightness on Jupiter so you can see the bands across the planet, then you can't see the moons. And so actually I think you've got it pretty pretty nicely in between there. If you increase the brightness a bit, then the moons will pop out a little more, but I don't think you're going to get a lot more. But if you darkened it, then you definitely see the bands across the planet. So that looks really good. And so then, you know, in terms of telescopes, what are you, Amit, what's your telescope?
It's Celestron C9.25.
It's a Celestron C9.25. Right, and so the
Yes.
C, the 9.25 means that it's 9.25 inches, and so it's a reflector.
Yes.
Yeah. And what's the format? Is it like is it a Newtonian or is it a Schmidt-Cassegrain?
Schmidt-Cassegrain.
Yeah, okay. So the Schmidt-Cassegrain is the shorter kind of stubby telescope where the eyepiece comes out the back of it. And they actually are able to, they bounce the light one extra time inside the telescope. So with the normal Newtonian telescopes, I don't know if I have one. Well, actually I have a Newtonian telescope.
Props are great.
Props are great, yeah, I know. So this is my Celestron First Scope, which you can pick up for like $50. And we'll show you Saturn and Jupiter and the Moon and all that. And so this is a standard Newtonian telescope, and so it's got a mirror. Let's see here as I point down this way. You see it? Yeah, there we go. So it can. So the light comes in, bounces off the big mirror in the back, and then bounces up, and then you've got this eyepiece assembly here, and the light bounces up and goes up. But with a Schmidt-Cassegrain, and I'm sure you've seen what they look like, they can make them sort of smaller and more portable because the light goes down, bounces up, bounces again this way, and then the eyepiece is down at the end of the telescope. And so they get to potentially make them half the size, which is pretty cool. A lot more portable. Which has been good because Amit has been sort of going out around the... well, he's moving the telescope right now. Has been going out around sort of trying to move to different parts of his property to get different views of stuff. So are you in the driveway right now, Amit?
Sorry?
Are you in your driveway now?
Yes, I am on the road.
Yeah. So he's set up on the road with his telescope at 4 in the morning, which is awesome. That's good. Now, can you see Titan at all?
What? Sorry?
Can you see Titan at all?
Titan.
Moon of Saturn.
Let's make it small. Okay, small. And
Whoa, are you getting clouded out there at all, or?
it's a little bit cloudy now.
Yeah, clouds are moving forward. Like I said, we're really cursed tonight. We had probably 10 people lined up, and 8 of them got clouded out, and Roy is almost clouded out. Most of his sky is clouded out right now.
I couldn't see the Titan.
You can see Titan? No, okay. But have you've seen it before, though?
No.
Oh.
Actually, this is the first time I see the Saturn with my telescope.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
How long have you had the telescope for?
Actually, about 6 months, I think.
Yeah.
6 months, yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing. So it's probably going to be a short one today, just because, like I said, Roy's going to get clouded out, and we tried to find some other targets, and it's been pretty rough. But we got 2 telescopes in the same Hangout, which is amazing. And then of course Mitchell is showing off his astrophotography, which is great. Now, with Amit and Roy, can you guys maybe try and actually record some video and stack it after the fact so people can get a souvenir?
Okay. I'm recording now.
It's recording.
Okay. And so what they're doing is that when you do astrophotography, and if you listen to a recent episode of Astronomy Cast, we went into a lot of detail on this, what they'll do is they'll record the view from the telescope using like a webcam over a lot of frames. Sometimes they'll record for the better part of a minute, and then they use software called Registax, which will stack up, sort of pick all the best frames and then stack them all up and try to make one image that compensates for as much of the atmospheric noise as they can.
And Registax isn't the only one out there. It's just the one that works fastest when you're dealing with webcam images.
Yeah, yeah.
So Fraser, the three, I don't know if you can see the moons on there.
Let's go back to the Jupiter.
Now, are those all moons? Because there's two stars, or let me rephrase that. There's two bright objects to what appears to be the left on my screen that are vertically aligned, which is not normal moon behavior. So is that a star and a moon that you've caught?
No, according to the map, that's Io and Ganymede.
Wow. So what we're seeing there isn't that they've left their orbital plane. It's that probably one is behind and one is the other, and the entire orbital plane is slightly tilted so that the one in front appears lower or higher. We have no way of knowing. And so as they go around, they'll change where they appear along that line.
Yeah, the one on the other side is Europa. That would be this one right. This one right there. The hand is upside down. This one there is a hot pixel, so that's not a moon. The other moon, though, is right up here. You just can't see it very well. And that one is Callisto.
So the two objects on the other side, are those two moons?
Yep.
I thought you just indicated that they were.
Yeah, they're Io and Ganymede are over here.
Okay, okay.
This one is Europa, and then this one over here, not the hot pixel, but the one right underneath the hand there is Callisto.
Excellent.
I can see them on mine, but they doesn't show up very well on the screencast.
They're showing up fine over here.
And then can you try sort of dimming down the brightness a bit to sort of see if you can get it? Yeah. All right. So we've been joined by David Riley, who's in the UK. So you're at like GMT 0.
That's right, yeah.
Whoa.
It sounds like we're being invaded by aliens.
No. Is that my microphone doing it?
Yeah, you're getting a feedback there. So you need to have headphones on, if you can. And so I don't even know what he's got it pointed at. He had a picture of Mars in his feed, so David just I haven't even had a chance to sort of go through and prep with him. 3 telescopes! You see this? 3 telescopes. Yes. So the neat thing of, sort of look at the differences of the setups. What's the field of view on your telescope, Amit?
Field of view?
Is it an F10?
Yeah, now F20.
You have an F20, okay, yeah.
Yes, I'm using Barlow now. 2x Barlow.
Yeah, okay. And so I think if you've seen a couple of these before, the bigger the F number, the sort of greater the magnification, the sort of the smaller amount of the sky that you look at the same time. And so with the various people, Roy, you've got more of an F10, right?
It's an F10, but it's right now it's going through software to do a 5 times digital zoom, so you could almost say it's an F50. But it's an F10 light gathering.
Right, yeah. And so when we see Mitchell's, if Mitchell had clear sky, his Jupiter just fills the whole screen up. Actually, so does Amit's as well. It's quite amazing. And then I don't know what David is seeing. I'm guessing it's Jupiter. But maybe you can put that into the chat. Yeah, there you go. Oh, it's Mars. Okay, there we go. All right, so David is pointing at Mars.
And if you look carefully, you'll see one edge of it appears a lot more red than the other edge. This is actually because different colors of light come into focus in slightly different places. So we're seeing, I'm guessing it's probably the atmosphere spreading out the light. I don't know if he has any lenses engaged. Anytime you have lenses, you have to worry about this as well. It's with lenses, it's called chromatic aberration.
Yeah, I'm able to read David's chat, and he's saying that, well, he's got 150 millimeter Newtonian. I think what that is inch-wise. But it's, oh, it's a 6-inch, okay. And he's going to try and shift to screen sharing because he can't actually control the brightness directly to the webcam. So we'll try and do that. So, but you got perfectly clear skies there, David?
He's typing.
Yeah, he's having to type. So I got 3 telescopes. What more do you people want? We'll get it.
We want it all. We want everyone to have microphones and headsets and the ability to show their desktop and the ability to show their screen and their finder and everything else.
Yeah, absolutely. So, no, Saturn is my absolute favorite. That's the one. Like, if Saturn is up, I will point people at Saturn as quickly as possible because it's just, for a lot of people, that just is just amazing. They've never seen it before and they can't realize. And a lot of people are like, are you, like, really? Is this just like a picture, or am I just looking at a video? But no, you're actually looking at Saturn, and this is actually what Galileo saw.
As part of perhaps the best haunted house experience ever, when I was down in Texas as part of a fundraiser for a local wildlife preserve, we told the people coming in, we lied to them blatantly that the haunted house had been canceled, but we'd arranged for a star party for them instead. And they were all waiting for us to practical joke them, and we're showing them Saturn and other planets through the telescopes. And they were like, oh, this can't be real. No, that part was real. We then had a little girl come up and say, okay, I'm going to go take you out to the telescopes on the cliff. It was between the first set of telescopes and the non-existent set of second telescopes. That's when everything broke loose. But it was just great watching that we could terrify people with planet Saturn.
You can really see the clouds coming over Ahmed and then away again. So how's your seeing?
There are some clouds.
Roy, you were saying that you're going to get clouded out, and yet you just had clear.
I just walked outside, and granted, my night vision is pretty bad right now since I'm staring at a bright monitor. The only thing I could see was Jupiter. I couldn't even see any stars.
So we can't count on this for very long. Look at that, we're going down now. So Ahmet's down, David's down. We had him for a second there with Jupiter, with Mars, which was amazing. And I think Ahmed is showing us pictures now. Is that Mars, Ahmed?
Yes, I have captured this yesterday.
Oh, you captured this yesterday, so you're, this is a trick.
Yeah.
But this is video, right? This is the video that you would have captured of Mars. So, I mean, look at that. You can see the
polar cap.
You can see the polar cap, yes.
That's fabulous.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Actually, seeing wasn't good, but you can see the polar cap.
Yeah.
That's bad. I can only dream of what you call good.
Okay.
Oh, that's really amazing. David's going to try and rejoin us with another view. So Ahmed, would you be able to stack an image like this, or is it just too distorted?
I have stacked. Let me show you.
Okay, and there's poor Jupiter.
So the trick with stacking.
What's out in there?
The trick with stacking those is the way it's moving around constantly relative to the pixels is you have to shift every single image so that you can get Mars always in the exact same place when you stack them. But look at those results. He's able to. That's probably Valles Marinaris. There.
I'm not good at processing, but it's okay, I think.
Yeah, it is. What filters
now, do you have a view of the moon, Ahmed?
Sorry?
Do you have the moon up right now for you? You must.
Actually, it's almost behind my house.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to send you to another place.
Yeah.
Let's see if David can get another view. That's really cool.
And if you want to ask us questions, whenever you see me look over here, it's because I'm checking the comments in the feed, and we're happy to answer questions while telescopes are getting repointed.
I just realized that the picture of Jupiter that I'm looking at on my monitor that's capturing is actually a mirror image in the Hangout.
Oh, that's right, because when you the Hangout window that you see shows you a mirrored version of yourself.
Yep.
Because people freak out when they see a photograph of themselves and not what they really look like.
So the picture of Jupiter that I'm looking at through my telescope has the thicker band at the top and then the thinner band in the middle. The one in the Hangout has the thicker band at the bottom.
Oh, the Saturn is clearing up really nicely, actually.
Yeah.
David, no. We do not see your window yet.
No.
I see it sort of off to the left, maybe.
That's
that is fantastic. And so, Roy, you were saying last night you were doing a big, long observing run of the Great Nebula in Orion.
Yeah, I spent about 4 hours on that.
Do you have like a final image that you captured from that?
Let's see, on this one, on this computer, I was doing it on two different telescopes, one of them through the 8-inch and one of them through my 4-inch. And actually the 4-inch was much better because it's a CCD camera and this is a digital SLR. But I should have...
Oh.
Well, and if you're having bad seeing, the 4-inch, because it has lower resolution, will hide a lot of that bad seeing because you just don't notice the movement in the lower resolution.
The seeing was okay, it's the color.
Okay.
The color of my SLR is just not great. It's a one-shot color, whereas my other one, CCD, is a monochrome with filters.
I think we're getting clouded out now with Jupiter.
It's starting to.
Yeah, I can see it getting clouded out. Yeah, there it goes. Oh.
Let's see. I don't want to do that one. Can you put a picture directly in here, or do you have to do a screen share of it?
You should be able to sort of put the picture in front of your window, right?
Okay, I can do that.
Yeah, and then it sort of... So instead of where you're viewing the telescope.
How's that?
Nice. That looks great. And so you took this last night?
I took that one last night.
And so what did you go through to take this?
That was off of the 8-inch. It was set up on 2-minute exposures. So I had the software set up to do 2-minute exposure, half-second guide pulses. So there's a separate guide camera as well that locks on one of the stars, and you can do sub-pixel guiding so that even if your mount isn't perfectly polar aligned for tracking, it'll sit there and send pulses to the mount to keep just right on a pixel.
Is that built into the CCD you have, or do you run a second camera?
A second camera.
Is that off of a finder scope then?
This one was off of the finder scope, of a 9x50 finder scope. My other setup is I have a 106 millimeter main scope and a 66 millimeter finder scope.
So
Actually, it's a 400 millimeter 66.
What filters went into creating that image?
This image was a one-shot color with a DSLR.
Okay.
Let me see if I can get.
And do you have the IR filter for all of those tech heads out listening to this? Do you have the IR filter off of the DSLR, or are you just going
Yep.
with it off the shelf? You pulled the
No.
okay.
Yeah, I had this one modified to take out the normal glass that blocks the IR and put in clear glass.
Okay. So for those of you trying to figure out what Greek language we suddenly started speaking, with everyday digital cameras, like here, let me pull one out. Excuse me, while I take apart my desk and try not to destroy anything and fail. So
Yeah,
with
David, I just want to tell David, yeah, we can see your view of your desktop, and so I think the Mars looks really good, actually. Looks fantastic.
So with a normal everyday DSLR camera, this is a digital single lens camera. You can, when you look, you can see inside, and I don't know if it'll pick up in here, there's a piece of glass in there. And that piece of glass, I still have it because my camera is so far only used on a tripod and not through a telescope, so I'm not too worried, and I can't apparently put it back together while talking to people. But that piece of glass in there, it blocks infrared light. This is light so red that you can't see it with your eyes. It blocks infrared light from getting into that digital detector inside your camera. Now, every photon matters when you're trying to do astrophotography, and our universe is filled with gas, filled with stars that give off a lot of their light in the infrared. And so by removing just that piece of glass, you're able to get much better images much faster by collecting those extra photons.
Sorry, Chris Christopherson, I've invited you into the Hangout, so I don't know if you can, if you've got that invite. You should be able to jump in now. If not, I can email you the actual link to the invite.
And I suddenly am realizing I'm one of those people who needs glasses.
Timothy, if you look further up, Timothy Bogart wants to know how to make it full screen. If you look further up in the list of posts, there's a full screen link. It's like Rick Monday posted it. It's like the third link there. Paul, if you can bring your 20-inch Dobsonian, that would be excellent. Thank you very much.
But Dobbs don't track, so he'll be constantly standing there moving the telescope to keep everything in the field.
If I have multiple telescopes happening, then if that's what he has to do, then that's perfectly fine by me, right?
Okay.
So David, your view of Mars is stunning. This is live. Look at that. Can you see? I mean, can you see the polar cap there? You can see dark. Do I see canals?
No, you don't.
I don't?
No, sorry. What you see is channels of darker material, often actual channels that were once created by flowing water and now just simply appear darker on the surface. What's amazing is up until the 1940s, we still thought that those dark patterns on Mars were created probably by vegetation. Then we sent things to land there and realized dead desert world. But now, as we study it more and more, we realize that far in the past, it was a water-rich world. And so now we're back to thinking maybe if you dig through the soil, you're going to find a layer of salty water and possibly microbial life. No plants, nothing interesting, but possibility of microbial life still has a lot of us pretty interested.
Yeah, and David is saying that he can see some dark areas just above the polar cap, and I see that too. North is at the bottom, so that's the northern pole is what we're seeing. Do you have any way to make that bigger, David? I know, like, just to make it bigger, because I mean, I think for a lot of people that are actually watching the Hangout, it's going to be very small for them, so I'm not sure if there's a way with your screen sharing or with your, like, if you're using, like, mini cam or something like that. You might want to try, afterwards. I'm not sure what operating system you're using, but if you use like Minicam or Webcam Max, that'll let you create a virtual screen, and then that will let you sort of zoom into a very specific area. Because in this case, I think the people who are watching right now, they're probably not able to see it. Like, we're probably seeing it at a higher resolution in the Hangout than people who are watching it are seeing it. But so do you want to try? I mean, so do you have anything else, Roy?
The one that I've got up there now is the one I took out of the 106 millimeter. I don't know what you're supposed to say, 106 millimeter or 700 millimeter. It's an f6 106 millimeter. So that was taken off of with the CCD camera with the 3 filters, red, green, and blue.
I don't know if there's anything else. So you're out of things to see. David,
Well, can we get some double stars? Can we get Mizar or something? Alcor and Mizar.
I think he's completely clouded out at this point.
Okay.
I can try.
When I was in graduate school, one of the things I learned was the people who study bright things can look through clouds. My master's thesis advisor my first 2 years, he was someone who did stellar spectroscopy. This is where you take the light of a star and you divide it out into a rainbow to look for the dark and bright stripes in the rainbow that are created by atoms absorbing and emitting light. And he did this on some of the brightest objects in the sky, whereas I was working on studying little tiny faint 20th magnitude variable stars. He was using a 107-inch telescope for the brightest stuff. I was using a 30-inch telescope for the faintest stuff, because irony prevails. And I'd give up for them, and he'd be out there happily observing through layers of cirrus cloud, and I would be mocked for giving up in the face of clouds. But 30-inch, any cloud, 20th magnitude stars go away.
Yeah.
So which one did you want me to try?
Singing a double star, maybe Alcor and Mizar in the Big Dipper?
Yeah, that might be...
I don't know what your horizon is like.
Since it's in the north, it actually might be better, because that's the way the storm was going, so it was coming from the south. It's probably not. Mizar's at 2.5 degrees altitude, so...
Oh, yeah, no, sorry. I live further north.
Yeah.
That looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Saturn is perfect now. I think this is the best.
You can actually see the shadow of Saturn going across the rings in the back.
Wow, you can! Oh, yeah. Look at that. This is fantastic, Amit. This is just so clear.
Yeah. It's very good now.
Yeah, it's really good.
Robert Copenhagen is making a comment that I suspect Amit would agree with. He said, the clouds aren't the bad part. It's the bitter cold and negative temperatures that really make things hard. Yeah.
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 Chemical heat warmers are your friend, as are mittens that have the type of fingertips that come off the top.
Dan Walker's mentioned he's having problems seeing the audio and the video. I don't know. There are so many variables that get into play. Yeah. We're seeing perfectly clear video here, so it could just be Google's having trouble feeding it to you, or you've got a problem further upstream. But I don't know if lots of other people are having this problem. But I'm not having the problem. It looks everything's really stable for me.
I have some problem.
Yes,
really?
You've been dropping out quite a bit, haven't you? Yeah. So I asked David to switch to the moon if he could. So hopefully we can get a view of the moon as well. So how many telescopes do we have here? We got 3. And so Chris,
and there's the moon.
Let's just take a look at the moon for a second here.
Wow, that's high resolution.
Well, you saw what resolution he had for Mars.
Yeah.
So That's great. Good tracking though. That's a good little telescope. What have you got for a mount for that telescope, David? Because I'm really impressed. I mean, if it's a 6-inch telescope, you're getting unbelievably steady dots, or maybe you've just got like perfect seeing. It's got a 5 times power mate on it. That helps. And the mount is an EQ6. Wow. So you can see that. Oh, look at the moon there.
Yeah.
I just can't believe we got 3 telescopes at the same time. I'm just so pleased.
We know how to make Fraser happy now.
I'm so happy. Yeah, I've been looking at a lot of telescopes over the last week. Dave Glant, how do I make the video screen bigger? You go up to the top of this post. The third post is a link. If you click that, it'll pop up with just the raw video in another window, and then you can press F11 and make it full screen.
Now, what's awesome is that whatever the things are that we're looking at on the moon right now, they poke up rather than poke down. So that's a mountain range of some sort. And I don't know if these are or not, but one of the things that, I'm just going to keep repeating this, one of the things that fascinates me is the moon has volcanoes from when it had a geologically active past. And there's a long straight feature kind of above center in this image. And it looks like it is a raised feature as well, so that might possibly be a lava tube. Or just some sort of a geological feature that is a fault line or something.
I just got to go back to Saturn. This is beyond my wildest dreams. I cannot believe how beautiful that Saturn is right now. Can you pick a different spot of the moon, David? Just like maybe some craters. You got a really nice view of the sort of jumbled up sort of mountains there, but see some of those really great craters maybe on the side of the moon. We're like 3 days, I'm trying to think, 3 days after the full moon, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I lost track.
Yeah. We just stare at the Saturn. And it really is. I mean, this is great because so Ahmed has got a DSLR camera connected to his telescope, to his 9.25 telescope, and so it's got a really nice CCD for actually gathering the image.
Actually, it's not CCD. It's CMOS.
CMOS. Well, right,
Yeah.
right, sure. But
It's a digital detector that's doing an awesome job.
yeah.
Yeah, right.
Craters, albedo features. We have moved to a different layer on the moon.
Yeah. That's cool.
So that crater you see in the upper left that appears to have a flat bottom with a peak in the center, that gets caused by when the object comes in and impacts the surface of the moon, basically turns the soils into stuff that acts like a fluid. Flows up, flows back down, and while it's flowing into place, the center part freezes into a peak while the rest settles out into a flat bottom of the crater. So craters are kind of neat because you basically end up with this big round dish that either has a flat bottom or a slightly peaked bottom. Well, not purely flat, but flatter than you would expect for what happened.
But the one in the upper right of that has had the bottom of the crater partly filled in.
Yeah.
That's great. We should get a lunar expert on at some point. Emily
Well,
Waller
we have one, Stuart Robbins, that we can pull in, and I'm thinking next week we might have good reasons to do some lunar star parties.
Yeah, well, it's going to be the best time to see the moon, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So a lot of people think that the best time to see the moon is when it's a full moon, but actually when you've got sort of a quarter moon, you know, where you sort of see half of the moon, that's when the shadows are really long on all the craters, and then you can see a lot of definition. Even right now, though, you can really see like really nice shadows on the craters really show us the good view of all the surface definition. If it's a full moon, then we're seeing the light straight on the moon, and then everything just gets washed out. It's really hard to see. But also, that full moon just pollutes the sky so much.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have it not quite so bright and dark. And so for example, for Roy, the moon isn't up for us here on the west coast of Canada. I don't think the moon is up for you. Sure, yeah,
No.
so David, yeah, if you want to try getting a different view, that would be great. I mean, we get to see this all day. This is wonderful.
Yeah.
Sorry, and so we've got to remember that the Earth is a sphere, and different objects are visible at different times, right? And so, for me, the moon hasn't even risen yet. Jupiter's high. Venus just went down.
Yeah.
For you, Pamela, Venus has been down for probably a couple of hours.
Yeah.
Jupiter is starting to make its way. Jupiter's probably still pretty high, but the moon hasn't even come up yet. But for David, the moon is up because he's in the UK, which is really cool. And then for Amit, I think the moon is up. Well, it's behind his house, but beautiful.
Yeah, because I live on the 90th meridian. I'm exactly a quarter turn of the planet away from the UK, which means that just as the sun is setting there, we're looking at lunchtime here, and so on as the planet rotates.
So Matt wanted to know how big are the telescopes. So I guess I can run through all the telescopes quickly here. So Amit, who has Saturn in his view right now, he's got a 9.25-inch Celestron. David has a 6-inch Newtonian. Is it a Celestron as well, David? I'm not sure what the manufacturer is. And Roy has got an 8-inch Celestron, but as well you can kind of see the different sort of situations. Ahmed has got his telescope set up in his driveway, and moves around his property to get different views, which is pretty funny. I'm not sure where David's set up. I'm guessing you're off a balcony or something. It's beautiful viewing. But Roy has actually got his own observatory set up in the middle of the Arizona desert, and has got a beautiful mountain tracking system on it. So if there was more that we could actually view, he can move it right around the whole sky, just from place to place to place. It's really quite an amazing setup that he's got there. Yeah, and that makes a huge difference for how much observing you can get done. I mean, for Amit, it took him about 10 minutes to get his telescope aligned.
I have to replace my battery.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. Well, that's it. Well, man, that was amazing. That was really wonderful. That was a beautiful view of Saturn, and I think that's going to be the one that we'll be judging for a while. Now, can you try and do that Registax on the video that you took of it? I'm not sure if you can hear me anymore, if his battery's dead.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah. So this is the Apollo 15 landing site, says David.
Oh, wow.
So he's got that kind of level of control over viewing the moon.
Now there's actually some amazing lunar reconnaissance orbiter images of that exact same area. So if you really want to enjoy it at its best, one of the neat things to do is to go through the various zoom levels and go from what you can see with your eye to what the Apollo astronauts took photos of to what we now see with our highest resolution cameras.
Well, let me see if I got any more questions. I think we're going to need to wrap it up in a couple of minutes. So if anybody has any more questions of what we're seeing, or just words of congratulations for the astronomers, because we've got 3 telescopes going at the same time. And that's just amazing. I'm really excited. This is a good sign for the things to come. I had a solar astronomer contact me as well, and so we try to get some views of the sun sometime. And someone from South Africa has talked to me, and so again we can get a view of of the southern hemisphere and some of the objects that we just never see in the northern hemisphere. So
yeah, that would be awesome.
That would be really neat. Fabulous. Oh, yes. I went back with his Jupiter. Well, I was back with his Saturn. Very cool.
Now it makes me want to stay up tonight just so I can see if I can see Saturn.
Well, hopefully it's going to clear up. Now, but it looks like you've cleared up again for me, right?
A little bit, yeah. You can tell by it just jumping around how turbulent it is. Because earlier in the evening it was perfectly still, and now it just is jumping all over the place.
Yeah. Did you want to try, David? Can you actually see Saturn from your point of view? You've got a really nice, clearly a really good mount on that telescope. It's really aligned nicely. I know it's going to be pretty atmospheric, but it'd be sort of neat. Sure, yeah, that'd be great. Sort of last thing we do, David. If you want to, David is sort of texting me, so he can't really talk. But if you can, he's going to try and get Saturn in his view as well, and so we can kind of compare and contrast the two telescopes. And then I thought, sort of as the last thing, if all the astronomers involved can put together sort of a final image, and then email that to me, then I'll put another post, and that'll be our souvenirs for tonight, so we can all see the sort of final images that we all took, which will be kind of cool. And actually, I don't know if... Okay, so David's going to try and get Saturn as well.
Wow, Jason Martin's getting up at 4:30 Central with his 5-inch refractor. Are you going to be... It sounds like he's going to be looking at Saturn in the early morning hours as well.
But a 5-inch refractor is a whole other class of telescope, right?
Yeah, refractors for looking by eye have the highest amount of contrast, and this is why I don't own a telescope. It's because I desperately want to someday own a really awesome Teleview refractor, and they cost more than my horse did. And I'm not sure what that says about my horse, but I own a horse rather than a telescope currently.
I have a mountain bike. That Jupiter, though, the Jupiter is getting really clear. I like it a lot, actually.
Yeah, I'm actually outside looking now, and everything, because it's pretty close up to zenith. I mean, it's almost straight up. I look straight up, and I can see lots of stars. So straight ahead, straight overhead, no clouds.
Yep.
That's the way it always works.
Yeah, but there's just nothing up there right now.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
That's beautiful.
I was trying to see if I could see Orion's belt, and I could try M42, but I can't even see it.
Yeah, no, and we should wrap it up anyway. I know it's getting pretty late, and we've been running this for about an hour now, so I want to sort of wrap things up in a few minutes. I want to give David another chance to view Saturn as well, and see, sort of get another view of the same object, just to sort of see what the two different telescopes can show. But no, your tracking on that, Roy, is just phenomenal. Like Jupiter has just been there in the middle of your screen, like a rock, all night. It's amazing.
Yeah.
There we go. So David is viewing. I've got his view highlighted right now. So that's Saturn, and so you can see David is viewing. It's very low on the horizon, just a couple of degrees above the horizon, and so we're seeing it through the turbulence of the atmosphere, and so it just looks this kind of sickly green color, and you can see the atmospheric distortions, and it's even distorting the view of the rings as well. And then we can compare to Amit's view, which is a lot more direct, direct above. So fantastic.
Well, what's interesting is you can actually see a difference in color from how high they are above the horizon. And this could admittedly be factors of the telescopes you're using being different, but as an object goes from straight overhead and gets closer and closer to the horizon, just like the sun does, it changes in color and gets redder and redder as it sinks. And this is because our atmosphere starts out by removing blue light, which is why we have a blue sun during the day, but then it gets greedy as the light goes through more and more atmosphere, and it's not just the blue light that gets scattered, it starts to be the green light, the orange light, and more colors get scattered, allowing only the red light to make it all the way through so that you see it.
And so if there's anyone else who's watching who wants to participate in the future, I mean, we'd love to have you. I'll add you to my Star Party list, and then when we start up the next Star Party, if anyone can jump in and join, that'd be fantastic. And so, you know,
and don't forget to +1.
Yes, if you're watching this right now, if you can +1 it, then we can get an idea of how many people are actually watching this, and get a sense of different times and what works and what doesn't work. So, you know, and if you want us to do this again, let us know. And if you have any questions or comments, then we'd love to hear it. And I mean, we're still sort of in the experimenting stage right now, figuring out the best way to kind of organize this and when to do it. And I'm hoping at the same time that the technology for, you know, everybody is improving their setups and the technology is getting better for the Hangouts. And so I'm hoping that we'll sort of it'll all move apace. And by, you know, this time next year, it'll be a very slick production with intro graphics. And no, it'll still be us just hanging around. But hopefully the quality of the video will look a lot better.
Yeah.
Because we see a much higher quality in our chat window.
Yeah.
But it's not putting out high def to you folks, which is too bad.
But hopefully that will improve over time.
Yeah.
One of the reasons mine probably doesn't look as good as it probably should is it's going over a cellular connection.
Yours looks great. Like I said, yours is this rock in the middle of the window. So, you know, I can't wait to see when you can see anything else. Especially, I mean, you're a lot more set up for the wider field stuff. So
yeah, I can get three different fields of view with the 3 different telescopes. So
yeah. Oh, I can't wait. That'd be great. All right. Well, let me see if anybody's got any last questions. Otherwise, I think we'll wrap it up here.
And let everyone go off and warm up.
Yeah. And so if you do have a telescope and you do want to participate, just drop me an email, info@universetoday.com, and then we'll just do some coordination and test the technology, and hopefully we can then incorporate your feed into this feed. And that's great.
I love looking at all the places you all are coming from. Someone asked, where are you all, and said that they're in British Columbia, and then we see Massachusetts, Tennessee, Australia, England, Ontario. We're spanning at least 6 countries right now, and that's pretty amazing.
All right. Well, we'll go off on Amit's beautiful view of Saturn that we started with tonight. Thanks again, Amit, for braving that cold Istanbul morning. You've done a phenomenal job, and the fact that it's the first time that you viewed Saturn in your telescope is just amazing. So thanks a lot, and thanks Roy as well for braving the. Yeah, you got it really cushy with a really nice telescope, and you're sitting in your control room.
Yeah.
So,
sitting in here drinking hot apple cider.
Hot apple cider, no, it's good. And thanks David for jumping in at the last minute and participating. I really appreciate it. If you want to test out some other stuff as well, you know, if you want to test out some Hangouts afterwards, or we can kind of figure out your microphone issue, we can get that happening. And thanks, Pamela, for bringing the science.
My pleasure.
And thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll do this again as soon as we can. All right. Take care, everyone. Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.